Welcome to Fantastic Vision. Please subscribe us before you watch today's video. During Biden's last term in office, their team's actions were more frequent than in previous years. After blacklisting several Chinese semiconductor-related companies in December last year, they issued new AI chip control measures in January this year, trying to curb the development of Chinese semiconductors in AI advanced chips. And the United States still feels that these are not enough. On the 15th of this month, they urgently issued 2 rules to further tighten restrictions on mainland semiconductors. At the same time, they will also investigate foundries and not allow them to transfer restricted processed chips to restricted entities, and add 25 Chinese companies and 2 Singaporean companies to the entity list. It is not difficult to see that the United States is specifically cleaning up Chinese companies, and China is also reading and replying immediately. Just the day after the United States announced a series of restrictions, in addition to expressing opposition and urging the United States to take wrong actions, China also announced an exciting news. According to the relevant response of the domestic chip industry, the United States has been subsidizing the chip industry in large quantities during this period, and when American companies have gained unfair competitive advantages, they have adopted the practice of exporting related mature processed chip products to China at low prices. This practice has seriously damaged the rights and interests of Chinese companies, so China decided to launch relevant investigations in accordance with the law. China's attitude is very clear, that is, it does not allow American companies to sell to the mainland by dumping at low prices. From this point of view, this is one of China's countermeasures. The purpose is to make the United States recognize the fact that in the global semiconductor field, China and the United States need cooperation to achieve a win-win situation. If they are unwilling to leave a little room for Chinese companies, then American companies will lose more market share in the Chinese market. More importantly, China has a good reason to do so. On the one hand, the United States does provide a large amount of economic subsidies to the chip industry. The previous $52 billion chip bill and $200 billion in subsidies for various semiconductors are good examples. On the other hand, American chip companies do have the situation of selling mature process technology at low prices. For example, the castrated version of the chips launched by NVIDIA in the last round have a great competitive advantage in price, and they have taken away many orders that originally belonged to Chinese companies. For such behavior, China should settle accounts with them. Once China determines that American companies have such behavior during the investigation, they will face the possibility of being unable to continue shipping and being fined a high price, and the United States' previous calculations will also fail. In my opinion, there are 2 reasons why the United States has imposed such severe restrictions on China. One is that China is gradually moving towards independence in semiconductors, and the progress is rapid. If it continues like this, it will be difficult for them to maintain their position as a technological hegemony. The second is that when China no longer buys chips from the United States, their American companies will lose more interests, which will cause a lot of trouble. Simply put, they want to make a lot of money from the mainland, but are unwilling to sell advanced chips, so as to kill two birds with one stone, making money and suppressing Chinese companies from rising. But unfortunately, China will not allow the chip market, that its own companies already have to be swallowed up by American companies using prices. Now this key investigation is a good proof. Of course, in my opinion, this is also a direct warning to the United States. China does not only have rare metals such as gallium and germanium in its hands. Even in the semiconductor industry that still exists with them, it also has chips. Now, American companies are already getting anxious, wondering how the United States will end up. Perhaps Biden should not consider this issue, and he can only hand over this mess to others. In short, the United States has frequently introduced restrictions on semiconductors, and China has launched an investigation in response. U.S. companies are subsidized to dump chips at low prices, which damages China's interests. China and the United States need to cooperate in semiconductors, and U.S. restrictions may be due to China's progress in independence and the interests of U.S. companies. China warned that it has bargaining chips in hand, and U.S. companies began to worry. Finally, what do you think about this matter? Do you think this counterattack is beautiful? Welcome to leave comments, likes and shares.